Joining me now are two people who were in the courtroom for that incredible scene in different roles. Former federal prosecutor Danya, who represents Michael Cohen, and MSNBC legal analyst Lisa Rubin. I feel like in the times that I've reported from court, I have occasionally witnessed dramatic scenes, but largely it's actually been pretty boring and rote and not like television. Today was wild.
Today, as Danya and I were discussing before we came on set with you, it was a little bit like watching Legally Blonde. For our viewers who know this movie well, there's a moment at the end of the movie where a witness on the stand breaks down, admits to a crime, and then the judge essentially rules the trial over because Elle Woods' client is not guilty. And that is exactly what Cliff Robert, who represents the Trump sons, expected to happen today. He moved for what's called a directed verdict. That's asking the judge basically truncate the trial, end it now, and fine for us. And he didn't do that. But that's what they expected to happen. And they honestly seemed surprised. And Trump seemed just downright angry that that's not what happened. It was definitely like television or a film.
So your client, was he in the room today as well? He was. He started the day on the stand, right?
He was on the stand almost the entire day, other than for the portion of the day where the judge found Mr. Trump not credible.
Right. So what happens is Trump comes out and says that thing, right? Which, I don't know, you guys were in the room and sort of caught the vibe. It seems to me obvious he was talking about the judge's clerk, who he has a fixation on, who the lawyers apparently have a little bit of fixation on. Is that a fair reading? Do you think there's any context clues he was actually talking about your client, Michael Cohen?
Well, when he wants to talk about Michael Cohen, he says Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
In fact, he did in a True Social post last evening. He did in front of the cameras today. So he certainly knows how to direct his vitriol in Mr. Cohen's general direction. So I certainly think the judge had ample support for his credibility determination.
You know, without the rest of the quote, it's a little bit arguable. You could even be generous to Trump and say it's ambiguous. But there was a portion of that quote that we didn't have an opportunity to play on air where he returns to talking about Michael Cohen. And that, to me, makes it even more clear that at the very beginning, he is indeed talking about the judge's principal law clerk, because then he changes subjects to talk about Michael Cohen.
And just, again, to be clear here, like, just you guys putting on your, like, experience in a courtroom. I mean, going after a judge's clerk, posting them on social media when you are a person who, when you draw attention to people, often they will have security concerns. Posting a picture, being ordered by the judge to take it down, not taking down one of them, getting a fine for that, and then coming out and in your veiled and clever way talking about that. I mean, that's totally out of bounds, right?
Totally out.
I mean, I'm like, how is this? And it just seems like one of these things where, from the beginning this started, this is a guy who's got one mode. Test, 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 test. And now we're seeing it in every different venue with Judge Chutkan, right? Judge Chutkan gives him a gag order. Yep. Then she temporarily lifts the gag order pending an appeal. And he goes on True Social and violates, he's not violating it, the gag order stayed, the failing New York Times story, leaked by deranged Jack Smith, blah, 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 goes after a guy who might be a witness. Like, exactly,
Kyle Chaney of Politico said it right this morning. He said it was like a checklist of how to violate the gag order. You know, Kirsten, I'd also point out to you, though, that even if the gag order is stayed, he still has conditions of release that include not violating any state, federal, or local statutes. There is a witness tampering statute, 18 U.S.C. 1512. I encourage our viewers to look it up. It's arguable that he violated that even if that federal gag order is stayed. But you're right. He's trying to test at every front. And sometimes he might not even be trying. I really do think he has a problem with impulse control and certainly has a problem with listening to his lawyers.
So I should note, in the same way that there's like this colorable claim it was about Michael Cohen, in this case, the Truth Social post was about the documents case, right, which is not Danya Chutkan's case. Now, at the same time all this drama is happening, right, Trump gets pulled up onto the witness stand to testify in his own defense by the judge about whether he's going to find him in violation. Your client is in the room, and he gets a subpoena today?
Last night.
Last night? About
while he's on cross-examination in the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal case. Trump's lawyers in that case, and there's some overlap, and they were in the courtroom today, issued a subpoena to him. And I don't want to get into it because I haven't had time yet to formulate my legal strategy. But it certainly
was a subpoena to testify in that case?
For documents.
For documents.
Yeah, documents that, you know, clearly it has the stink of witness intimidation once again, at least to me.
after all of this, I mean, there's this judge has tried hard to keep this trial going, right? And there's been back and forth about the different arguments that are made. Where is the trial now in terms of its arc?
There are about 27 witnesses that the New York Attorney General intends to put on. I'd have to go back to the list to see where we are. I don't think we're halfway through that yet.
Wow.
Tomorrow, we're expecting testimony from Sherry Dillon, who is the Morgan Lewis partner who was principally in charge of Trump's legal tax work. She's a person known to us because she was at that infamous press conference with the huge stacks of paper.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I say that to someone who's a cable news host, and they're, oh, Sherry Dillon, we know her.
I know that sound. We play that.
But I think we'll be here for a few more weeks. And certainly they are trying to delay and stall at every turn. You saw that yesterday they made a huge issue out of a COVID outbreak on the Attorney General's side, trying to use that to delay trial a day further. And yet nobody on the Trump side of the courtroom was wearing a mask, which Judge Engoron noted to them were widely available and they were free to wear.
No one's more, COVID neurotic than Donald J. Trump. Danya Perry, Elisa Rubin, thank you both.
Thank you.